This video is now in session, and the G7, the group of seven, has agreed to create a global minimum tax, which is a very, very important thing, and it's a very monumental achievement that the group of seven nations has been able to do. So, what a global minimum tax is that the countries within G7 plan to tax corporations at a minimum rate. It's literally what it means, global minimum tax. And the main reason why this is done is to coordinate tax policies in each country and to help each country adjust their taxation policies. Now, this was mainly started by the United States with Janet Yellen, and Janet Yellen proposed a global minimum tax primarily because of Biden's agenda. Biden's domestic agenda includes I guess once included, it might not still include it might still be included in future bills, but he proposed to heighten the corporate tax rate, so to make it higher. And for that to happen, he has to set a global minimum tax rate to make sure that companies don't go for that loophole where they go to another nation that might not tax as much and hold all of their assets there until a president comes where they lower taxes. So with that loophole, the only way that can be solved is through a global minimum tax, and it is definitely a globalization policy, but it's meant for the interests of each nation's own domestic policy. So the group of seven currently includes the United States, the United Kingdom. This is the G20, so I'm on the wrong one. But there's also Australia, I believe. Not Australia, that's group of 20. So, okay, the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the European Union. And the European Union represents all the voices of the countries inside the European Union. So from as far west as Ireland and Portugal to as far east as southeastern Europe. So those are the main people who are in the group of seven, and they have all agreed to set a global minimum tax rate. And here you can see the members that attended the financial conference in London to deal with all of this. The main proponents of this are, of course, U.S. Treasury Janet Yellen, and as well as Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak is the Chancellor of the Exchequer. But what he does in the United Kingdom is manage the country's finances, and he's part of the Tories, or I mean like the Conservative Party, and obviously Janet Yellen is under Joe Biden, and which means that she's a Democrat or leans more Democratic. Now, the next step that has to be done with a global minimum tax rate is to bring this to the G20, so the group of 20 nations. And that will be a harder task to fulfill, primarily because the members of the G20 are a lot more diverse than the minds of the G7. You can see here that practically all of these countries identify with Western values, with anti-communist values and globalization values, since most of these countries are superpowers. Now, with the group of 20 nations, it includes additional people, including China as well as Russia, and other countries like Brazil, India, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. So all of these countries are more towards individualism, and China especially does not want a global minimum tax rate, especially because Janet Yellen is the one who's proposing this measure, who is from the United States, and for a foreign adversary of China. So it's going to be much harder for the G20 to be able to accept this kind of global minimum tax rate. And there are even more challenges. The Northern Ireland, or not Northern Ireland, but Ireland, will also probably reject these measures when it comes to the G20 meeting as a delegation of the European Union. So that makes it harder for the United States and for Britain, and as well as other nations to to go forward with the global minimum tax rate. Ireland is known for having very low taxes, and a lot of companies go to Ireland in order to because it's a tax haven and they store their assets in Ireland. And those are the challenges that the Treasury Secretary will have to face, and as well as Rishi Sunak. But if this goes through, this is again a monumental step for globalization because it represents some kind of collegiality between the nations against the interests of minimum corporate or corporate tax loopholes, and it makes it easier for countries to start taxing corporations so that corporations don't participate in tax evasion, or I guess tax avoidance as well. So those are the proponents and the negators of this plan. If this plan goes through, major win for President Biden, who could probably now increase taxes on corporations and set his own minimum tax rate on corporations. That could probably go through reconciliation. Obviously, it will have to go through Joe Manchin in the U.S. Senate, who currently opposes the heightening of corporate tax rates, but it provides an additional avenue for future presidents in not just the United States but all over the world to start taxing corporations in a fair manner that ensures that companies pay their fair share of taxes that they have forgotten for so long, including companies like Amazon, big tech companies, and oil companies, and a slew of other companies. So that's the end of this video. This video was pretty short compared to my other videos, but that's basically what's going on right now with the group of 7 and the group of 20. I hope you enjoyed this video. This video is now adjourned, and I'll see you in the next one.